So, good evening and good morning. And we'll start with the study circle. And we'll just take one more minute to just center ourselves. We had the mantra playing that was beautiful. And taking just a few more breaths of conscious breathing, staying with the breath all the way in, all the way out, to gather the threads of our consciousness a little bit and be fully here. Invoking Mother's presence and grace, and aspiring that the words help me see more than I usually see, so that I can, I don't know, live more light with less baggage and expanse. So, as we know, we are in this study circle these days. We are studying the passages of the Sunlit path. So, I will share the screen. So last week, this is the section, the section title is Sincerity, Vigilance and Willpower. And last week we had taken up, we had begun with the passage called Unhappiness and Insincerity. We had taken the first half, but we'll just, to recap, we'll go over it again. And at any point, if there are any reflections, any comments, one is welcome to unmute and share and talk. Yeah. So if anybody is willing, they can please read this passage. Otherwise, I'll go on.
Yeah, Taru, I'll read.
Yes, Hadaji, thank you so much.
Unhappiness and insincerity. You feel uneasy, very miserable, dejected, a bit unhappy. Things are not quite pleasant today. They are the same as they were yesterday. Yesterday they were marvelous. Today they are not pleasing. Why? Because yesterday you were in a perfect state of surrender, more or less perfect, and today you are not anymore. So, what was so beautiful yesterday is no longer beautiful today. The joy you had within you, that confidence, the assurance that all will be well and the great work will be accomplished, the certitude, all this you see has become veiled, has been replaced by a kind of doubt and, yes, by a discontent. Things are not beautiful. The world is nasty. People are not pleasant. It goes sometimes to this length. The food is not good. Yesterday it was excellent. It is the same, but today it is not good. This is the barometer. You may immediately tell yourself that an insincerity has crept in somewhere. It is very easy to know. You don't need to be very learned for, as Sri Aurobindo has said in Elements of Yoga, one knows whether one is happy or unhappy. One knows whether one is content or discontented. One does not need to ask oneself, put complicated questions for this. One knows it. Well, it is very simple. The moment you feel unhappy, you may write beneath it, I am not sincere. These two sentences go together. I feel unhappy, I am not sincere. Now, is what is it that is wrong? Then one begins to take a look. It is easy to find out. Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcoming any reflections? We had taken up the first part of it last time. And this is one of the mother's like popular quote that is often circulated, which says that if you're unhappy, that means you're being insincere. I mean, there would be a lot of interpretations, lot of reasons. It sounds confusing that everything, why can't there be a balance? Why can't I be unhappy? And of course I can. And yet, like, I don't know, for me, the way I understand is that, it's like it's binary, right? Like either I can be grateful or I can be ungrateful in one moment. I cannot be grateful and yet feel I lack. And the lack usually causes the suffering and the pain. And so if I am being ungrateful, because without that, I don't think, like that unhappiness is possible. So if I'm being ungrateful, I can be unhappy. And then mother says that if you're unhappy, just know that you're being insincere. Insincere as in you've forgotten, right? Like we it's hard to see it for us, but say for kids, you get them a toy. After 20 minutes, they might be whining again. And we so strongly tell them, right, that, oh my God, we have just got you a new toy and you're still cribbing. What was the use of giving you this and that? Like we are so good at that, pointing things and telling them how much we have, what all we do for them and what all has been provided for. But just turning that inwards, turning that towards us, turning that towards me. That if I'm complaining, if I'm crying, if I feel, if I say I like this or I like that, do I even see what all I have been given?
So, Taru, sorry to interrupt. Is it the lack of gratitude which is insincerity, or it can be anything?
Shadaji, I think it can be anything, but I was just saying that I mean, if it's like how people are always somewhere, right? Like, so right now, from where I could see it, I can see it. One of the major things I felt for me was that when the gratitude is not there, that opens the door to maybe kind of like sadness or unhappiness. Because if I'm actually grateful, not in the big picture grateful that I say, oh yes, everything is good, right? But that moment to moment, like if I actually feel that, okay, right now, am I grateful? Do I know what all, has been given to me? Or just being and feeling that love that is surrounding me, then it feels it's an impossibility that I can be sad, because it doesn't, I don't, it's not a possibility. That's, I was just sharing that, but please, welcoming more reflections and angles.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I think as you said that this can be actually approached from any angle and it would be appearing right in one moment for each one of us. So gratitude is one. And another way of saying it is that from time to time, what you were pointing at, that since we live with a sense of lack most of our times, we are living with a sense of lack. And that is why gratitude helps. And Mother has reflected upon it several times that why gratitude really helps. And as if gratitude helps and opens the door to your psychic. So it is like entry into your psychic when we are grateful. Along with that, we can also parallelly, just giving it another word to what you were saying, is that since we live with this continuous sense of lack, we want to hold on to and find ground in things and people and situations. So when we come to yoga or when we turn to divine, we see that most of us get very disappointed at times with life, that, oh, my best friend and I can't really trust anyone, so everything in life is fleeting. Nothing can become our ground. My children can't become my ground. My spouse will have their own priorities. Parents would have their own priorities. Respect, fame will come and go. So we see that everything as if there is a quicksand beneath me and everything is fleeting. And I can't, for 1 year, something may be my ground, but in the second year, that may change. And now the ground beneath me is ripped apart. And there it leads to unhappiness. Whenever we try to hold on to anything which is impermanent, people, situations, life, workplace, relationships, very soon it will turn me towards disappointment. Why? Because whatever gives me pleasure, very soon it brings me pain, because when it's taken away, it's pain. So one of the ways is to say, look at it, is unhappiness and insincerity. When mother says, just when you are unhappy, right beneath it, I am insincere today. For me, it also means, along with obviously the gratitude thing, very important, that today my ground is not the divine, but some person. And because that person has rejected and not acted according to what I would like him or her to act, I'm unhappy. Very, very, we see it happening in daily life. Just like we see that whenever our focus is on lack and not gratefulness. Oh my God, I have this functional body. I'm not in the hospital. My mind is functional. My intellect is functional. Isn't that enough? So whatever is lacking, the moment I shift my focus to that, I become insincere. There is unhappiness. And also when I am not relying as my ground on the divine, then also when I'm relying on impermanent things and persons, then also I feel a sense of unhappiness, that as if there is a disappointment, vital disappointment. And that is how most of Bollywood songs are written. The Devdasi songs, which we appreciate very much in the times of our own downfall, but I don't know what good they do to us. They just invoke that vital disappointment in us, that हाँ ठीक ही तो है, अरे यार किसी की भी तो नहीं है जिंदगी, and ruminating and regurgitating in that. Yeah, we all have done that. Bollywood has given us enough opportunities to do that. Yeah. So yeah, that's just another way which one can look at.
I think on a similar note, I would also like to add something. Uh, from I think we all share also a sense of entitlement that everything should work in our favor. And I think that is where also a lot of unhappiness comes. For example, maybe yesterday I was feeling confident, feeling that, I can do a lot of things, things work in my favor. But today, maybe I didn't get a project, it didn't happen in my favor, I didn't get the tender. And suddenly I'm all crestfallen, I'm disappointed, I lose my confidence, I'm unhappy. But from yesterday to today, only one thing changed for me, was that something didn't go in my favor. But I'm always, probably I'm lucky, or I'm fortunate, but I'm grateful also. But the moment it doesn't happen in my favor, I get all the negative emotions and feelings. So I think a sense of entitlement that everything at every time should work in my favor. So I think also that, yeah, we forget at that moment that there's so much to be grateful for. And I think from there, the tangent thought came to me that, yeah, I mean, this is another way of looking at things as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll actually just add on to what Deepa said. So I think that there's just two things: expectations and responsibilities. So I feel that the moment we have more expectations than responsibilities, it's not a good space to be in. The moment we feel that this is my responsibility, I need to do it, and I have lesser expectations, I think then that's the space at least I always strive to go. Thank you.
Could I ask what you mean by responsibilities?
Yeah, hi. So let's talk about me. So I'm a housewife since the last 16 years. The moment I start saying that my expectation, as in my husband should do this for me, my kids should do this for me, I expect this from my friends, my parents, whatever, that space versus my responsibility, as in what is my job to take care of my kids or to, make sure I'm regularly doing my exercise or I'm a part of something, I'm reading a book. So I'm saying generally in life, when you have more responsibilities, that means your mind space is something that you're contributing something and expectations are minimized. The moment you start expecting that everything is for me, everybody around me should be doing for me, whether it's friends or, pampering me. So then you go into a space which is again becomes less of gratitude. So I think again, more responsibility, less expectations means you start going to a tunnel, which is more of gratitude. So which automatically gives you, you get into a positive space because life is what it is. I mean, some of us don't have parents, some of us don't have kids. Like life is what it is. You cannot change the hand you're dealt with. What you can just change is your reaction. So yeah.
So the word responsibility actually scares me because I'm at the opposite end. So I'm a worrier. I take on too much responsibility, I think, and I am awake most of the night thinking about, are my kids okay? Are they doing okay? And I also take guidance, and I keep myself super busy so that I don't think about them. But at night again, I start thinking about them, and then because they don't live in the same city, and so for me, when I'm trying to associate this sentence, I am unhappy. I won't say I'm unhappy. I'm quite happy with everything I have. So, but then why am I worrying? So what am I? Like for instance, I want my children to also have some spiritual practice in their life because I feel if they have a spiritual practice, then I'll worry less about them because I know that they'll be able to handle it. Like life is going to throw things at them, and I know that they'll be able to handle it. So for me, it's the opposite end. Like I'm taking on everybody else's responsibility that I want everybody to be strong and I want everybody to take care of themselves, and so I'm sleepless and they're fine. They're probably living their life normal.
Yeah, so I'll just add on to that thought. So I've heard this. So there was a program which says that when you have these thoughts, like especially when you worry, you have these thoughts. So you have to discontinue the thought process. So they say that 5 consecutive thoughts, not good thoughts, that you have to cut. So for example, you are thinking, okay, my daughter is studying in US. She's going to college at night. She's going to a party at night. So right, that's 3 thoughts. Then fourth, something bad will happen. That's a fourth thought. So you have to consciously make an effort to turn your mind away from it. Otherwise, the thought will go from one, and as we discussed yesterday, right? It's like a hamster goes round and round and round. So it's on you to cut it. See, everybody, your children, they are independent. Everybody, your worrying is not going to make her any more braver or smarter or touch would keep her safe, nothing else, right? So you have to cut your thoughts for your sanity. So, I mean, you can't have 5 connecting thoughts. The moment you have a fourth thought, you have to either do some Gayatri mantra at night or something, whatever works for you. Discontinue the fifth thought so that you're in a good space.
Yeah, I think very important points. Thank you, both of you, for talking about it. Mother gives us several pointers. And today, when this mantra was repeating Om Anandamayi Chaitanyamayi Satyamayi Paramayi, so there is a video that goes along with it, and maybe I can share it later on the group. And in that video, there is one picture where mother had a vision that she's with a golden robe which is covering the whole of earth, and all of us, including my children, my ancestors, and further, all of us are part of that golden robe of protection. So I think, as Sonal was also pointing at, that we can come to that has been recommended by many masters, changing how our thoughts work. Plus, those of us who are in connection with the mother, I think we have such a golden key with us. Why don't we use it more often? But if I am a child of the mother, so are the billions of human beings and other beings and creatures present on this planet and outside of this planet. When I know that my unfolding, my mistakes have led me where I am today with the mother, won't my children be guided? So whenever this, I do it often, that whenever any concern about my child or my children comes to me, then I say, oh, we are actually on the same ground. We are not like parent and child. No, that's our delusion. We are all children of the mother. We are all children of the mother. And if she knows how to take care of me, doesn't she know that how to take care of my children, which are also her children, and the children which are strangers to me? So again, that is also part of changing your thought process. I think that would come in that domain also, to remember that we have the golden key, which is the mother. Mother is the golden bridge. We don't have to make so much of effort. We don't have to become the divine mother for all. We can't do that. We lose our sanity. And secondly, what Sonal was sharing, mother in the book Powers Within. There is a compilation by A.S. Dalal, Powers Within, very powerful. The name itself, Powers Within. So their mother says that since we don't know how to stop thinking, since men don't know how to not think, the best you can do is be conscious of your thinking, see what you are thinking, and turn it into the highest possible that you can think of. So what Sonal was pointing at, that the moment I see, okay, what is going on in my head? Oh, will she be okay? Am I, have I done enough? What can I do more? So the moment you see stressful thoughts in you, immediately transform, affirm something really highest possible. For example, I am taken care of by the mother, and I know mother is taking care of my children. I know it in my blood. So saying those kind of affirmations, repeating it and writing as much as possible, so that it becomes part of your being. And if something has to repeat in your being, that repeats rather than the negative vicious loop. So work has to be done. We have to put effort. What Sonal was also sharing, we have to put effort. And I have to become conscious of my loopy thinking. And otherwise, you are right. I have also tried that no matter how much I indulge myself into work, when I'm struggling with, something which is a weak spot, attached spot, it doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. Although work helps to distract, but we have to transmute at the level of thought also, because that subconscious will keep repeating, and it will also appear in my dreams later on. If not in my waking state, it will appear in my dreams. So that at that level, we can work. All of us can work. We are conscious enough. We have a functional mind, functional intellect, not in the hospital right now, So we must change our thoughts into the highest possible that is I can do. And in that, we are actually making, good for our children. See, if a parent can transfer their fear into their child, the parent can also transfer the faith and devotion to the mother into their child. I think Sarda ji is here today. Her parents have been devoted to the mother for a long time. And we can hear from her that how it just, things like that come from the past, and you are just, your devotion is inspired. You are turning to the mother again and again. Something or the other helps. So if we want to give our children anything, let us work on our fears and give them faith, contagion of faith, rather than giving them fear. And it can be transferred miles away. Somebody may be in another continent, doesn't matter. But you have faith towards the mother that yes, mother is the divine mother and she's taking care. Who am I to worry? Doesn't she know better? That will be transferred without even saying anything to the child. So we have that power, we must use it. Yeah.
Yeah, Monica, here I just want to share an experience which happened yesterday. So yesterday, Meera went for a walk in our apartments. Suddenly, I got a call from her saying that, a lot of honeybees attacked me. Please come to the basement. So I went, And, she was, sitting, and, tears were pouring, some 15 honeybees attacked her. It bit her, all over the place, face, head, hands, neck. There was no place, luckily nothing happened to the eyes, everywhere it bit her. So she was, really panicked. And, people were, standing around her, and they were trying to take out the thorns from, the honeybees. And they said, you have to take her to the hospital because she has to be given TT and all. And she became all right after 10 minutes. And we went to the doctor. That time she shared something. Amma, I was walking, and from suddenly these honeybees came and attacked me. I shouted, to the top of my voice, mother, mother, mother. Whole apartments would have heard what I was shouting. And within no time, one security guard came. I don't know where he was. And he came and he said, you go to the basement, don't stand here. So I went to the basement, and, from nowhere people came, and, they helped me. And to our surprise, Monica, there was nothing on her hand, only the marks. So even now she has little pain, but, that little is nothing. The 15 bees honeybees attacking one, person, it's not easy. It cannot happen that way. What she was saying, Amma, this honeybees came because I'm thanking the honeybees. Otherwise, I would have never thought about the mother so deeply from, within myself. So I'm thanking the honeybees. It's okay. At least I think I've made one step, progressed.
Totally
So that
resonate. Totally resonate. Yes, yes.
If there is anything, at least call her, So we'll shout something. You will shout, that and all, it will be natural to us. Yesterday, what she said, and 2-3 people also asked, who's shouting like this? She was the one who was, she was saying the whole apartment would have heard, because I was shouting, mother, mother, mother. How many times I shouted, I didn't know. But, see, yesterday we gave her injection. What we have to do, we did. But, the word mother, she was saying, no, I should write about this. The power of this word mother. It was really beautiful. I thought I should share with you all.
Yeah, beautiful. Very powerful. Yes, thank you. Yes. And I think we don't know what we were saved from.
Yeah.
We see that what we were attacked with. But,
yeah.
I think beautiful attitude you guys took. But we don't see that what we were saved from. As we have example of, someone sadhak in the ashram who came to Sri Aurobindo with some leg, feet or something was broken. And Sri Aurobindo said that you have no idea. It was like going to be actually a major accident according to the sequence of events. But since you were on this path and, whatever, had the protection, you got away with just this much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we usually are unaware. Yeah.
I didn't know about this incident. I told Meera, mother has saved you from something else very serious.
Yes. And the other thing that you were sharing, that at least that event brought us back to the mother's remembrance, because we are so lost in our thoughts that although we think that, yes, we are with the mother, but we are not with the mother most of the time.
Yeah. One of the talks Alokda shared also, one of the sadhak had a corn in the leg. So one of the doctors said, come, I will remove it for you. He said, no, don't remove that. Whenever I press my feet, I'm calling the mother. It is helping me. When it is paining, I'm calling Ma. So it is helping me. So I was telling Meera, this also has helped you to call the mother. Otherwise, we are always on the substance. Going for a walk, coming, every day this incident is happening, but we don't remember it so deeply from within. Yesterday it made us remember her, and beautiful faith has come out of this.
Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Yes. That day I was sharing with Taru that, I went for a drive and I came back, and it was a drive in the sense, Delhi, Gurgaon, we know how much of traffic is there. And I was wondering, I said, isn't that amazing that I came back alive? And every day, as if like I felt so much grace in action that every day so many people are going and coming back alive. Amazing, untouched. Even the car is not scratched. So then I told Taru, that I said that God exists. you know. Because see, we are going out, we are coming back untouched. And there is no, as we were talking in the beginning, there is no gratitude for that. That is taken all for granted. What Deepa was earlier sharing, this entitlement, that नहीं ये तो सबके साथ है ही है, मतलब सब ठीक ही तो है, तो मैं भी तो ठीक हूँ. As if we are entitled to that, but we don't know that how much grace every moment is protecting us. It's in function. So good to turn our attention to that time to time. Yeah.
In fact, in the most of Delhi's chaotic driving, sometimes even I think it's a miracle, However, it's like there is God's hand on India, I think, despite all the crazy traffic, and sometimes the roads are so crowded and there are animals and there are rickshaws and there are people, and still somehow your car manages to come out of there, it's really a miracle.
Truly. I think India, I was sharing with somebody some time ago that in India we have so much of chance to actually be in remembrance of God, because things are so haywire. We may have a red light, but we know that, okay, there are people who don't stop at red lights, so every time you have your chance to remember the divine, because if not for the divine, how this thing can work and so many billions of people survive every day? How is it possible? Yeah.
Yesterday, I saw a documentary called, I think, Endgame. It was about, people who were just maybe had like maybe a week or two to live, and then they were talking about hospice and palliative care. And there was this comment which is very, I mean, it's nothing out of ordinary, but just the realization of it again and again. The doctor or the guy who was talking said that, right now, all they want is just more time to live. Like, what's more important, like, the most important thing in their life right now is, I want to live. I just want time to live. And he said that, and yet when you walk out, down to the street, you talk to 15 people. They'll have so much. I want this, I want that, I want, and that never ending game of I want, never for appreciate, never for 1 minute appreciating that, oh, I'm alive, or, I have time. Like, death is not staring at me just right there. And how often do we forget that? And I think if we keep remembering, and especially, in Buddhism, in Vedanta also, I think this remembering of death is very recommended, right? It says that it keeps you on the path. You don't lose your direction, your focus. And I think one thing that I would like to add is, like, when Sonal was sharing about expectations and responsibilities, there's another dimension, and that is, why am I doing it? It's either expected of me or responsibility, or it's just out of love. Like, why am I caring for my children? Like, that example was used, the children's example, or anything that I'm doing. For me, I've realized that, of course, if it's an expectation, it's just very, very claustrophobic. It gets very claustrophobic after some time. Responsibility also feels repulsive, that I don't want it. Like, when I was doing this, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't realize mostly that. But yet, if I am doing something because I want to do it, I would love to do it, I'm doing it because it makes me happy, then the ball game just changes. It just makes a lot of difference, because somehow expectations and responsibilities, they don't, I don't know, they don't give us that space in which one can just freely be and do something out of the joy or for the joy. And the same thing you transform further. It's like the space that you're operating from that radiates. So just experimenting with that, asking oneself, yes, Sonal, please.
Yeah, I had a thought, now it slipped my mind. Actually, on this only I had a thought and I'm not able to recollect. I'll come back to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So coming back to, I think, just collecting the threads to come back to the topic that we were discussing, when I am unhappy, to write below it that I am insincere today. Yes, Chetana, maybe the thought has happened to you again. Please go ahead.
Yes.
No, it's
Thank
Chetna.
you,
Yeah, Chetna,
Monica.
please. I thought, yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, yes. Okay. So just what Didi was sharing just before this, it really resonated. Like when you were reading the passage, and yeah, like first of all, I'm sorry I cannot switch on the video right now. But when you were reading the line, what came to me is, right, I am unhappy, and then below it, I am not sincere. What came to me is where have I not been sincere in following my heart? Like for me these days, this was very well timed, because these days I do feel very unhappy in a lot of things, and I do at times feel like, I mean, even if one part of me knows that I'm really blessed and protected by the mother, there is a part that keeps cribbing on life being slow or not being like, yeah, maybe as the ideal mind wanted. So so yes, this line, I am unhappy and then I am not sincere, really what it brought to me was the question that where have I not been sincere in following my heart? Like the deepest heart desire. Um, and then I'm covering it up and trying to cover it up with different things, like food and all those like superficial things. I'm trying to curb and cover it up with these things. And for some time it becomes mellow, and then again, when I'm in silence or I'm by myself, that feeling arises again. So that feeling of unhappiness is really, from me, not following my heart, not being sincere in following my heart. And yeah, the deepest just came. Thank you so much.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I think that's a beautiful way to put it. And Mother talks about it that when we don't follow the psychic call, what you were talking about, it actually makes us uneasy. We are uneasy. And then to cover up that uneasiness, what you were sharing, you do all kind of stuff, but nothing works. So yeah, thank you for bringing it. Yes.
So yeah, I just like to add one thing that, so when we talk about following our hearts, we also have some. So what I'd like to say is that marriage is an economy, right? So everybody has responsibility. For example, let's say one person is earning and the other person is not. So what happens sometimes when there's a disagreement, the wives, most of my friends, I see some of my friends say that, I did so much for my in-laws, I did so much for this person, right? I did so much for his brothers and sisters. But the point is that we both have to make some contribution. The husband is contributing, let's say, by being the bread earner. So the lady is contributing by getting the emotional bondages or taking care of the kids. So everybody has a role to play. So even if there are differences coming, we can't shirk from a responsibility. So even if our heart is not into it, but we have to do those things. So as she was talking about Snehi, I think that sometimes the heart is not in place and all, but it's like a student, right? If we are studying, we have to study, whether heart is there or not there. So everything cannot be, the mind has to be overpowered, right? I mean, we cannot, life doesn't work on going by heart. I mean, that's what I feel. I don't know, right or wrong. I mean,
Yeah, I think there is a confusion, and all of us have this. See, the problem is, and that's what we are helped by all these words of the masters, because our confusions are cleared. So it is good to, I think, rather than ruminating ourselves, it is good to read words of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, because they say that, see, it's very difficult to see what is my heart saying, because heart is also, we have a twin heart. किसकी बात सुन रहे हैं नहीं पता लगता, it may be my इच्छा, desire, soul, that is speaking, but I am deluded in saying that no, ये तो मेरी आत्मा की इच्छा थी. That's what we say. मेरी आत्मा की इच्छा है कि मेरे मरने से पहले तेरी शादी हो जाए. भैया, आत्मा की कोई इच्छा नहीं होती. आत्मा सिर्फ एक को बिलोंग करती है, दैट इज द डिवाइन. उसके अलावा कोई इच्छा नहीं है. ये हमारी इच्छा, सोल, जो डिजायर सेल्फ इन मदर्स एंड श्री अरबिंदोज वर्ड्स, जो कि फ्रंट इमोटिव हार्ट होता है, जो फ्रंट पार्ट ऑफ द हार्ट. एंड दैट इज व्हाई वी फील whenever jealousy is there, whenever somebody has insulted you, rejection is there, you feel a burning in the front portion of your heart, front part of your heart. That's because the seat of emotive heart, the ichha soul, the desire self, which we are usually identified with, is the front portion of the heart. That is not our heart's calling. What Chetna was talking about was the psychic call. That's a very different call, and it's not aggressive. Ichha's call, the desire call, is aggressive, it's restless. The aspiration from the psychic, it is persistent, it is there, simmering, but it's not aggressive. It tells you that somewhere deep within I know what should I have done and I did not follow it. But it's not aggressive, it's not restless. That's the difference how we can make. Mother says that how to differentiate whether it is a desire or a psychic aspiration from the depth of your soul. How to make a difference. There is a difference in the vibration, as if your whole being burns with that front emotive heart, but the psychic doesn't make us burn. So wherever there is burning, we can be 200% sure that it is, I'm fooling myself. I may call it's my atma ki call, but it's actually my jhuti atma ki call. And it is surprise for us कि भैया झूठी आत्मा भी होती है, but होती है, अब क्या करें. मतलब we live through that, all of us live through that. होती है झूठी आत्मा, which portray as atma, but it's not the true atma.
Yes, I completely agree with you, Monica. Right now, the reflection that was coming to me was this only, that like there are the other surface desires that one uses to curb the real thing. But somehow these words, when I read it, it took to the deeper core. Yeah.
And we can actually, I may be talking to a same friend, but now I realize that earlier my talk was as if, oh, if I don't talk, as if like something is going up and down in me. So that tells me that it's the same action. The action has not changed, but I'm operating from identified with the desire self. That ruins everything. Working from the desire self ruins our relationships. And the same thing, the same act, same friend, same relationship, same work can happen from the deepest part of our being, where your ground is only the divine. Now, friends may be there, spouse may be there, children may be there, everywhere the interaction is happening. But my ground is neither of them. It may be a beautiful relationship that I have, but my ground is not that relationship. And this is what we were reading, the paragraph that we were touching upon, that one way of talking about is that what is my ground? And then there are a few other ways, and all pointing towards the same grounding. Hamari grounding ka hai. Yes, Ekta, you wanted to?
I was just, what the part that you said about the soul calling, and it's not just not aggressive. I think it's also forgiving, because then there are parts of your life when you regret that you didn't do something, but that part of you also tells you, but it's okay because you needed to go through that, or you were not ready then, or So I think when you connect with that part of you, there's, like you said, it's not aggressive. It's a loving kindness. But it's also persistent. That you're not doing it. You're still not doing it. You're still not doing it. So I think that it doesn't give up on you.
Yeah, Snehi is asking, why is the calling from psychic not restless? The simply put in one simple line, one can say, again, many ways can be explained. In many ways, it can get explained. Simply put, psychic is resting on the divine. It finds its completion in the divine. And that is why there is no eagerness for any fame, name, person, relationship, anything. Because its bedrock is the divine rock. But the ichha soul, the desire self we were talking of, it is hollow. It has a hollowness. And its true fulfillment also lies in the divine. But to the divine, it reaches after many attempts of putting our head in this wall, that wall, banging our heads and bleeding and wounding. All of us know that. So true fulfillment will be in the divine. But the mind and the vital, the emotive part, come to it by lots of blows and experiences. And that is why in Mothers and Sri Aurobindo's yoga, we say that, okay, the first thing you do, or the first thing you piche pado at, is find the psychic, find the psychic, find the psychic. Why? Because when we find the psychic, as if we have a true master with us, right master, which will not guide us in a wrong way. Mind can guide us in a wrong way. The ichhas, the vital being, the emotive part can guide us in a wrong way, thinking that it is my soul's desire. But the psychic never guides us in a wrong way. So if we want to align the wheels of our vehicle, that is the light that we have to first, put effort to find. It's a tangible presence. We all of us. And mother says, if you are still doubting that you have not found the psychic, when doubt is there, it means definitely psychic has not been touched. But those people who get in touch with the psychic, they stop putting this question forward. Because है ना, knowing है. You don't have to explain it to anyone कि भैया देखो मेरे को psychic मिल गया. वो बोलेगा कहाँ है दिखा. वो सर्जरी कर दोगे तब भी नहीं दिखेगा. वो बोलेगा देख झूठ बोल रहा था. So it's not like that. All of us who are driven by our true call, whenever, in whatever moment, we just know it. No explanation required. Yes, Nandini.
No, I was just wanted to add to it. I remember I had this same, the same discomfort about how relationships can be good, and what to do with the expectations that I have, and this still come around 6-7 months back. A lot of it was there, and I remember speaking to my bua, who's also on the path for a long time, and I was telling that, what should I do? My relationship with my partner, my in-laws, my friends, my this and that. How should I do it? What should I do? And she just laughed. And one thing that she said was really like stayed with me, and I really feel it's changing me a lot when I go back to it. And she told me that, but you don't have to, you don't have to make relationship with anybody, but what you said, but with the divine. Just fix that relationship, develop and nurture that relationship, and everything will be at its own place. And that was such a big confrontation, because I said I don't have to do anything. Like, I don't, like, with PhDs and with policy making, you're so much activity driven. What is the impact I'm creating? What is it? This, so your mind is programmed in a way that you feel, oh, I need to take efforts, and all these self-help book will always tell you, oh, you need to put efforts into making relationships better, do this, and do this and do this, they might help on the superficial way, but it doesn't really help. I feel like that because I have really done all of that, and I have come to realize that they are all just maybe okay people who are who are satisfied with the appearance life and with the appearances, but doesn't really help you touch the core, that psychic love. Or I shared also the video, I really loved Balog, the human love, so beautiful, that transmuting that relationship into divine relationship. That's what integral yoga is all about, how my entire life can become a life divine. So, and that I've realized that just making my relationship stronger with the mother, that's it. I don't have to do anything just to keep remembering it. My mind just ma, and that's it. If only I can do that, forget wife, forget children, everything will be taken care of. And it really does. Even if you want to try it for 2 days, for a week, even just half a day, if we just say, I'm not going to think about anything, really not going to think about how I'm going to make my husband happy, my children happy, my in-laws happy, but how I'm just going to remember mother, and just that, and play that music inside, and see how life changes. And it does change, but at the same time, it's not easy. You keep going back to that grooves. There are days when you realize, okay, half of the day was again in those mind groups, again mind planning, and doing this, thinking how things should have been, and trying this. But as you said, it doesn't really help. But if we just try only this thing, that you just think about the mother or anything or the divine, or if you're a Buddhist, just the Buddha presence inside yourself, whatever it is, and see how everything will change. You don't have to do anything, think anything, plan anything, everything will be done. I think in Gita as well, that shloka, that yoga she pahamyam, Krishna says that I literally will do everything, just keep thinking about me. I mean, that in itself, I think for me has changed my life completely from 360-degree. At the same time, it's very difficult, but even the small practice, then everything follows. Like, but what you said about that, building that relationship with the divine is the key for everything in life.
I think coming back to the passage, I think we have covered it in our discussion. I mean, mostly in case there's anything we can add on. Just this aspect again that Monica had touched, I think we can just focus on it again, that we know, right? Like oftentimes we like to say that we don't, what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong for me. But one knows whether one is happy or unhappy. One knows whether one is content or discontent. One doesn't need to ask oneself, put complicated questions for this. One knows it. Well, it is very simple. So I think again a little bit of, not a bit, sincerity and honesty with oneself is needed. And we are often trying to cover things up, right? That I should be happy. This makes sense. Everything is good. And yet, if there's that void inside or that lack inside, one knows that there's something that's not right. And like we discussed, we can follow our hearts in our own ways and see. And I think another thing, when everybody was sharing, was coming to me, was that Kabir Doha, right? That dukh mein sumiran sab kare, sukh mein kare na koi. Jo sukh mein sumiran kare, to dukh kahe ko hoye. Like Sadhji shared that beautiful example of her daughter Meera. Because she's used to calling the mother at everything, right? So when she's actually attacked, it's a reflex for her, right? It's not a very well planned, complicated strategy that yes, let me call her, right? So just keeping things simple, being honest, being sincere. And if I'm doing something when things are good, the same strength will help me when things are not so good. And that is why continuity of practice is really important. And yeah, and I guess again, it's a doing, not really, I mean, it's a happening, maybe not really a doing, because if it's up to us solely, if we don't account for much, we just keep on getting distracted. And yet, when we have been distracted enough, when we have suffered enough, there comes a point in each of our lives when we know this is the only option. One has to move beyond the everyday economies, the pettiness, the small things that keep complicating our lives, and change the dimension a little bit. Yeah, I think somebody has unmuted.
Yes, Sharda ji, you want to add on something?
Yeah, Monica. Actually, well, we have to keep on calling her from the morning till we sleep, or even during sleep, we have to call her. But many a times we forget also. We call somebody else. So I think this is not, 1 day, 2 day practice. Maybe many lives we should practice. We feel, it will happen. Definitely, it has happened to me so many times. When I call somebody else, I feel, why are you calling somebody else? Call the mother, no? See, if we are going to call ma. Why are you not calling them? Why are you not doing that? After calling somebody else only, I remember, oh, this is not right. I should call the mother first. Put the mother before you. Put the mother first, then you walk along. I think this needs lot of practice and sincerity.
And love, and because
Love also. Yes.
if we fall in love, we can't help, like it happens in human love also. If we fall in love, even if it's like lusty, romantic, whatever kind of love, we are all the time, because of that love, occupied in our thoughts with that person. We can't help it. So I think that kind of love, if can get developed through cultivation or whatever, by grace, divine grace, that if we get connected to the divine in such a way that we can't help but remember the divine. कोई और option ही नहीं है, choicelessness. So I think, yeah, as you and Taru was also sharing, that it's a cultivation. And what the doha that Taru shared, another doha I think we can add. वही आपने बोला शेयर किया ना, सुख में सुमिरन ना किया दुख, हाँ. So this one I wanted to add on with what you were sharing. सुख में सुमिरन ना किया दुख में करते याद. What you were sharing कि लास्ट मोमेंट पे एकदम से नहीं होने वाला वो, है ना. कहे कबीर ता दास की कौन सुने फरियाद, है ना. तो अगर in 100 good moments I am actually remembering something else, someone else, it will not happen that in the 101th moment when I actually require some whatever, the divine grace or input, it will not happen automatically, that it will not be easy to remember. And that's why, we see many a times, we have discussed people who are towards their deathbed, end stage life, moments. If I'm used to remembering the divine, then that's what I will be doing even without the mala, because I'm used to, that's my habit. And if I'm used to have tea at this time, 5 o'clock, मेरी चाय कहाँ पे है, तो actually मैं 5 o'clock पे उस बीमारी में भी मेरे को चाय याद आ रही होगी, because that's what I'm used to. So what are we used to? This, habits go really deep. So either I cultivate what you and Taru were sharing it right now when I have good days, because usually in our good days we become really frivolous, we waste our time. अरे ठीक ही तो चल रहा है, अरे अनइजीनेस भी नहीं है, डिस्टर्बेंस भी नहीं है, अरे कोई डिस्टर्बिंग इमोशन नहीं है, तो क्यों याद करना भगवान को, बट वो जब होता है तो तब वो, मतलब we don't have that faith, that solidity. Yeah, so yeah, it's very powerful to have that cultivation continuously.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, ma'am. Namaskar. When you were sharing that, and when Shada ji was sharing it, one thing I've noticed is on top of having love for the divine, total surrender for the divine, um, and trust in the divine. Also, I find that in my case, um, I need to be fully convinced that I'm incapable of handling anything without the divine. Because when I look back, when I sit down and look back at the things I've done, at the things I've said, without calling for the divine, they were always silly. They were always idiotic. They never made any sense. So so many years of doing that, and I'm still in the process of you know trying again without calling for the divine. That's kind of irresponsible, but I find that until I don't convince myself entirely and honestly that I'm incapable without the divine, that is, I guess, for me at least, that is when I will start calling for the mother almost every single time. Not almost every single time.
So we will not be picking up the next passage today. But if there's anything else, any last comment? And, yeah. This too is very interesting. The last part, right? That when I know if I'm unhappy, I say I'm not sincere, then I can go and see, pause and see, oh, what is wrong? And then I see where I have been, attracted to something, or I'm feeling repulsed by something, or I'm what like Deepa was sharing that I feel entitled and something didn't happen, or what Jagan was saying that I've again, taken the wheel back from the divine and I'm riding my own car. So it's like, it's a beautiful indication, right? Like, we somehow, if somebody tells us that, oh, just love, it doesn't come easy to us. It's strange, although we say, we want to love, we all want love. So these formulas, these ways of doing, especially in the beginning, it helps us that, okay, I'm feeling this, that means it's this. So now let me backtrack, backtrace my steps and see where I went astray. Yeah. What am I choosing my ground? And that, every time I can see where I went astray. Yeah.
And ma'am, in a way, it is so easy for me to just say that I'm incapable. Like I used to say when I was a kid, and if somebody asks a question, मुझे नहीं पता, मेरी माँ से पूछो. She'll handle it, and it feels like it feels like being young again, just with that thought that I can't do this. I cannot do this without your help, mother. So yeah, I want you to stand by my side. So I think for me, because my all my life, love has always like when I was looking at my love in the past, I've seen that it's always transactional. So before I begin to start transacting with the divine, I find that this my approach of just being happy for being incapable and just to give it to her is an easier form to connect with the divine.
There is one prayer of the mother where she says, I think it's one of the prayers, where she says that, yes, I am incapable, but I am with you who is the most capable. Something like that. So because when I'm saying I am incapable, it draws us into a lack of power. So parallelly, what you were already sharing, parallelly you transfer it, that yes, I am incapable, I am a veritable zero and nothing, but you can do everything. So this work which one is supposed to do will also be done through you, right? Because you are there. So because that is, again, we first go in down in our power and then we empower ourselves with that grounding. Yes, what you were sharing. But I can't remember which exactly. Maybe it was a prayer or some anecdote somewhere.
There's
Right.
also a quote by the mother that I personally really like. I think it's in the collected work, where I think she says that you need to be in constant state of aspiration, but when you cannot aspire, maybe just pray with the simplicity of a child. I mean, that's so simple that we all fall, we'll fall 100 times, even after knowing that we just have to call and remember her. Even that we cannot do. We can aspire, we will fail, but if we cannot just be the child to the mother, that's very easy, isn't it? I somehow feel that it's good to see yoga is very easy. Life is difficult. For me, I feel life is difficult. My goodness, so much frustration, so much expectation. Everybody's having so much drama and pain. Yoga should be easy because you just have to be the child of the mother. Say, okay, I have to keep saying I again forgot. I how many times I don't know how to listen to my heart as well. I'm confused. You do everything for me. Like one thing also Alokda shared. So first she says, I don't, somebody says, how do you do, how do you do these things? He said, I cannot do. I am, the royal child of the mother. I just ask her to do. You do. Can't even do. I mean, that's the easiest, isn't it? No more seriousness and philosophy, just simplicity of the child and just saying that you do everything, and that's it. And of course aspire as well when we can. So
And
it was
when it happens, when she does it, just adding our chalaki to it. So I am nothing. Oh, a veritable zero. I am your child. I can't do anything. So she does it for you, and then the ego jumps back. Oh, I did that. So and it can jump back at any moment. It's very subtle. It will not be very out loud. So all the
and
time to
also
be aware.
I also feel that like if you are very genuine in the heart, in the aspiration, if you have really genuine aspiration and you really leave it, so you can do your tapasya and you want a certain outcome, but you're devoted to the mother, even if she does how she does it's completely different to your way, you will still accept it. Because I remember when my mother was diagnosed, I was in constant aspiration that she will recover. This is going to be a miracle of faith and grace. We did everything. I chanted for hours, everything we could do, but she couldn't survive. But I remember when she was going away, she was leaving the body. I was the one with ICU. There was a lot of like appreciation what mother did, even though it was something. If somebody have told that she will go in 2 months, I wouldn't have even be able to take it as something. But when that happened, because mother did it and I had that certainty a little bit, it helped me a lot, even though there was a lot of grief. But that thing, oh my god, ye kya ho gaya, was not there. I mean, that thing, if we are really simple in our aspiration, whatever she does for us, we have the capacity. A part of us, a part might keep resisting, but that small part that we're trying to cultivate every day with these sessions, anything we do, does help you understand the wisdom of the divine too. I mean, that quote I just thought of sharing. I have it in the picture. I'll share.
I think a lot to reflect on, a lot to let go, and just taking a few last moments to thank grace, thank the divine for the opportunity of this Sangat, of a mind, for a healthy body that can understand, that can sit and hear and read, and the path that is being shown. May we all be truly well and truly happy. and be the joy and spread the joy that we feel in our hearts. Sharing the merit of our actions, these words, our understanding with everybody. Thank you, Grace. Thank you.